The trading post on Station Xerxes 9 hummed with the usual cacophony of 1,000 species conducting business. Haley sat at a corner table in the food court, her datapad propped against a half-empty cup of something the Vendorians called coffee. It wasn't, but it was hot and caffeinated, which was all that mattered after 3 weeks hauling cargo through the outer reaches. Beside her feet, curled into a tight ball of golden fur and nervous energy, was Crix. The Veltorian cub had been orphaned when pirates hit a civilian transport 2 stations back. Haley had found him hiding in a ventilation shaft, traumatized and alone. She'd tried to find his pod, his family, anyone who could take him. But the Veltorians were a scattered species, and this sector was far from their homeworld as Crix stayed with her. Christian leaned against the wall nearby, arms crossed, watching the crowd with the practiced eye of someone who'd seen too many deals go south. His jacket hung open despite the station's chill, revealing the plasma pistol holstered at his hip. He and Haley had been partners for 5 years, hauling freight, running occasional security jobs, staying just legal enough to avoid real trouble. "We should move soon," Christian said, not looking at her. "That Cranarian at the bar has been staring for 10 minutes. Haley didn't look up from her datapad. "Let him stare. We've paid our docking fees. We're legal. Legal and smart are different things." Crix stirred at her feet, making a small chirping sound. Haley reached down absently, scratching behind his tufted ears. The cub leaned into her touch, his 3 eyes half closing in contentment. Veltorians were apex predators on their homeworld, capable of tearing through reinforced steel when fully grown. But Crix was barely 3 months old, still dependent, still vulnerable. The Cranarian at the bar stood up. That Christian's posture shifted slightly, his hand drifting toward his weapon. "Haley, I see him." But she didn't see the other 2. They'd been waiting, watching, coordinating. The Cranarian was just the distraction. The first pirate came from behind, moving fast through the crowd. He was Thysian, reptilian, quick, with 4 arms that ended in sharp talons. The second was human, which somehow made it worse. He flanked from the left, moving with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd done this before. They reached Haley's table simultaneously. The Thixian's lower arm shot out, claws wrapping around Crix's scruff. The cub yelped, a high-pitched sound of terror that cut through the ambient noise like a blade. That Haley's hand moved. She didn't look up, didn't even shift her gaze from the datapad. Her left hand simply snapped out and caught the Thixian's wrist, the one holding Crix, in an iron grip, and she twisted. The sound was audible even over the crowd. A wet, compound snap-crackle-pop of bones separating from joints, cartilage tearing, ligaments rupturing. The Thixian's wrist bent at an angle that would have been anatomically impossible for most species. For Thixians, it was catastrophic, he screamed. Haley still hadn't looked up, her grip tightened, and she pulled downward while simultaneously driving her right elbow backward. The elbow caught the human pirate in the solar plexus with surgical precision, folding him in half. He collapsed, gasping, unable to draw breath. The Thysian tried to pull away, his other 3 arms flailing. Haley's fingers dug deeper into the shattered wrist, and she stood in one fluid motion, yanking the pirate forward and down. His face met the table with a sound like a mallet hitting fruit. Teeth scattered across the metal surface. She released him. He crumpled to the floor, cradling his destroyed arm, blood, green and viscous, pooling beneath him. The entire exchange had taken perhaps 3 seconds. That Christian's pistol was drawn now, tracking the Cranarian at the bar who'd frozen mid-step, suddenly reassessing his life choices. The food court had gone silent, dozens of species staring at the human woman who'd just dismantled 2 attackers without spilling her not coffee. Haley picked up Crix, checking him over with gentle hands. The cub was shaking but unharmed. She tucked him against her chest, and he buried his face in her jacket. "You were saying something about moving?" she asked Christian, her tone conversational. Christian lowered his weapon slightly, though his eyes never left the Cranarian. "Yeah, that." The Thysian on the floor was still conscious, whimpering, his ruined arm twisted at obscene angles. Haley finally looked at him, really looked at him, and her expression was colder than hard vacuum. "He's a child," she said quietly. "He's 3 months old, orphaned, and terrified. And you thought you'd just take him? Sell him? Use him?" The Thysian didn't answer. Couldn't answer that a station security officer, A Vendorian with too many eyes and not enough spine approached cautiously. There's been an altercation. Self-defense, Christian said flatly. They attacked first. Check your cameras. The officer's eyes swiveled toward the Thaisian, then the human pirate still gasping on the floor, then back to Haley. Whatever he saw in her face made him take a step back. Ah, yes. Of course. We'll handle the cleanup. Please, enjoy your stay on Xerxes 9. It wasn't a request. It was a plea for them to leave before things got more complicated. Christian holstered his weapon. Time to go. Haley drained the last of her not coffee, gathered her datapad, and adjusted Crix in her arms. The cub's trembling had subsided, though he kept his face hidden against her as they walked toward the docking bay. The crowd parted like water. Haley heard the whispers, the usual mix of awe and fear that followed humans through the galaxy. They're so fragile looking. But did you see how fast she moved? Never threaten what a human has claimed as theirs, especially their young. Christian fell into step beside her. You know that's going to be on every newsfeed from here to the core systems by morning, right? Good, Haley said, stroking Crix's fur. Maybe it'll make the next asshole think twice. The cub chirped softly, a sound of contentment and trust. In the cold mathematics of galactic survival, humans weren't the strongest or the fastest. They weren't the most technologically advanced or the longest lived, but they were relentless. They bonded fiercely, and they protected their own with a ferocity that made predators think twice. Crix was hers now. Anyone who forgot that would learn the same lesson the Thaisian had, quickly, painfully, permanently. Behind them, station security called for medical assistance. The Thaisian would survive, though he'd never use that arm again, but he would remember. They always did, that was the point.